Welcome back to this video. Let's start it off with some tea. It's the same tea, and cheers everybody. It's the same tea from last video, and in this video we will be talking about how to sort files into different folders depending of the mean of the values of the files. Yeah, but not that complicated. But if you haven't watched the first video, I suggest you do. If this is something you also be interested in, how to generate those random number files. And yeah, this is what we did last time. And let's say we have here a directory called files, and this directory gets filled with files which have values in it. Okay. Let's just run it once again. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm seeing you cannot see that properly. Sorry about that. Let's start a new terminal and just nope. Come on. Yeah, just run this once more. So Python .files. So you will see that we have files here, and all of them have values. And as we defined that last time, we had the range from -1000 until or up to +1000, and we have 200 values and 10 files which are created. And now we want to get the mean of the values and sort them into different directories. So for the main, it's pretty easy, but before we go to the main, let me just quickly adjust a method here, because I run into some errors. And yeah, you see, here I wanted to delete a directory or create it new if it's not existed, or if it's not in existence. Now, the problem here is that I assumed I always have a file here, but as it turns out, remove is not the proper way to deal with a directory. So this will get an error, and then it cannot make a directory which is always already existing, and so it's not nonsense. Now, how to deal with that is to check if this is a directory, if the file f is a directory, because it's always treated like, yeah, directories are just like files in the sense of that those are listed when you call os.list here. Now, how to check that? Now you can do it like this. If os.path is dir, this is the method. So is it a directory? And now you have to give the full path to this directory or file you want to have it. And we have the file here, but this is the file name. Sorry. This is the file name and not the full path to it. So we also have to use here the join method. And here's the full path. So if this is a directory, then we want to do something different. In this case, we want to remove the directory, os.rm_dir. And it's the same thing here as it is with that one. So I'm removing the directory here, and else, so in this case, this should be a file. I could use the same method I used here. I think, yeah, you could tidy this a little bit up. Maybe write it like this: path equals that one, and now you can just use this variable path. Path is not so good. Path to file or dir. Now you can use it like this. And this is a little bit better to read. I always suggest that you also put some investment into your readability of the code, because yeah, you know, if you're doing like just programming your stuff and just wondering how much it takes your time to program the file and run it and get rid of all the errors, that's one thing. But later on, if someone else has to deal with the code, the amount of time he has to invest to properly understand your code is much higher if you have a low readability. So always, and I'm not the best example for this, as I'm just also a medium expert, no, beginner. In Python, definitely not that much of an expert, but just to group some variables, or just to just put the functions together, so that you can better jump around and get a feel how what this program is doing. This helps definitely to increase the readability and decrease the stress of your colleagues, right? And this is about it, right? So we try to delete everything in here, and if it's a file, no, it's if it's a directory, we want to remove the directory. And if it's a file, then we want to remove the file. I'm not quite sure if the directory comes first and he wants to remove the directory, but there are files in it. If that works too, I think so. I think so. Okay, now let's test that. If we didn't introduce any further errors, no, seems not to be the case. So this is okay. Now let's turn to the main. So the main should just sort the files, right? So sort files on sign of mean, and we want to give here the directory. Easy as that. So we have to get into the big chunk of this video. And this is, of course, the two methods up here, sort files on sign of mean and also get the mean of values. Let's start with sort the values on mean. I want to have two directories, positive and negative, where I want to copy the files after I have sorted it. And this is done by a method we already know. This is delete directory or create new. And we want to have it here, os.path.join. And we want to have the directory. And let's say we have positive and we have negative. Okay. Test it. Okay. Takes blah blah blah. All right. I haven't defined a directory. Well, I should have that, right? So directory. Because I give the directory here. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Just once again, I'm the main. We have a positive and a negative directory here. Those are empty, and if I call it again, those are deleted or created new. So this is okay. Okay, now I want to open each file, right? And now we have to be careful again, because we also have the negative and the positive directory in the files folder. So for f, or let's call it file, in os.list dir, and we have directory here. So we can also just print the file. Let's see what this does. Now this lists the files in here, but also negative and positive. That's why I said we have to be careful here. Now let's see, we can use the same method as we had here, right? So file path equals, and this is again os path join, and we have the directory and we have the file name. So this is the file path. And now we want to check if it's a directory. If os.path.list here, by now I think about if I just have imported the path directly up here, because then I would save this os.path this bunch of time. But yeah, it's not that important. But as you know, if we wanted to restructure the code, this should be a good idea. But I'm leaving it as it is right now. So if os.path list is here. If that's a directory, and what's a directory? The file path. If that's a directory, then I want to skip, and skip is done with the continue. So this we have this for loop, right? For each file in this directory. Okay, I'm continuing if it's a directory. Yeah, does it make sense? So for each file or directory in this path, I check if it's a directory or not, and if it's a directory, I skip it. And skip it is continue. And else I want to, in this case, let's just print the file. Then we will see that there should not be a positive and negative in here anymore. Let's see. All right, those are gone. That's good. Now we can get the mean. And the mean is, the mean, I want to have it with this one, this file. So mean equals this method, and we have to give the file path. Now, this method, as for now, does not return anything. Let's change that. So we have this arrow here, which indicates what the method or function does return, and it returns a float, because the median at a mean of also integer values most certainly is a float. Okay, now I think we are almost done. Let's leave it for here for now. We have to do the sorting, so something like if mean above 0 and stuff like that. But we will, for testing purposes, we will let that be for a minute. Now let's get to the mean of values, and I have to admit that I cheated here a little bit, and I looked in the internet what are good methods to get the mean, and don't invent the wheel. You have this from statistic import mean, that's one thing, and you can use this. So you just have the calculation of the mean. Yeah, it's not that complicated. Yeah, you sum up all the values and divide it by the number of values. It's not that complicated, but don't invent the wheel. Let's use from statistic the mean method, and yeah, let's implement this here. So we have to read the file, and we will just open it in the favorite way with this with command, with open, and here we have the file path. That's quite convenient. File path, and we want to read it, just only reading. It works also if you don't specify that, but it's nice code style if you do. So as file content, that's the content of the file, right? And we want to get the data. Now we will use list comprehension and also with an if condition, because you will see that in a minute, because yeah. So data, I want to get a list of all the values. And this list is done with a list comprehension. So we have the list, and we say we want a float, so convert it to a float. It's an integer, but it's converting it to a number, right? From x. Well, you know what? Let's leave that for a minute. Let me just show you what I mean. Why we have to do this all the way. Let's just print file content.read. File content.read. This should be every line, right, of the file. Let's see what this gets us. Oh, that's cool. How this is working. Oh my god, I cannot believe it, because last time I did it, I have all these empty lines. I don't know why, but I had empty lines between them, and I got rid of them with the method. I will be showing it to you, because that's also a good skill if you have that. So just imagine you have some empty lines. You cannot convert an empty line to a number. That gives you an error. But you can ignore empty lines. And this is what we're gonna do, but we don't have empty lines here, strangely. But all right. Okay. So we have the data with the list comprehension. So as I said, we want to get a float of x. And x.strip is a method which just gets rid of all the spaces and returns false if it's empty. That's important, just in a minute. So float of x.strip. Now the list comprehension starts for x in file content dot read dot split. And this is where the empty lines get into it. Split, and we want to split it by new lines. So for each line, we have the float of the line, but just if x.strip. If this just is not empty, an empty line gets ignored with this command. All right, should be it. Let's see. There's not a mistake here. And we want to return the mean of the data. See, does this work if I call that mean? Yeah, I think so. So we imported the mean function here. This function is called here and returned. So this value of the mean is returned here into here. And why this is an error? Okay, let's call it differently. My mean. Okay, so I have the mean. And now let's see if this works. Because I could definitely see that I have a typo in here and so Python sort. Okay, just I'm the main. So that's good. Now we want to sort the files. Let's just print the my main. That's also a good thing. Just to see if this stuff works. Ah, okay. So we have 10 values. For each file we have the mean. Great. Now we just have to sort them and copy the files. This should not be this much of a problem. And I also have found a good method to copy a file here. This is from sh-util. So sh-util, I import copy file, and the copy file command works like this. You have a source and a destination, and this is all it takes. So we will be doing it here. So if the mean is above 0, then I want to copy it into the positive folder, right? So copy file. And the source is the file path. So I have this already. And the destination where I want to copy the file to is something I have to define here. So os.path.join. And now let's see the directory. Then I want to have positive, and then I want to have the file. This should be it. And else, we have the same command, but in this case, we have a negative. All right. I wonder if this works. Oh God, an error. If mean not supported between instances of function and int. Oh, I'm sorry. That's of course my mean. So, okay, this works. And now let's see. So the first, the second, the third, and the fifth file should be in positive. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's correct. And in the negative, we have the fourth file. This is the fifth file here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's all. That's also correct. Great. So I will be uploading this code to GitHub. For sure, there's some improvement potentials. If you have something out of that, I will be interested to hear that. And else, if you enjoyed the video, just please leave a like, a comment. You know what to do. And yeah, hope to see you soon again. Thanks and happy drinking.